Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to a match preview for Saturday's game away at Bramall Lane against Sheffield United. Going into this, it's a difficult start for both teams. Both teams have not won a game in the past three. Well, in the first three of the season, Everton only getting their first win against Doncaster yesterday, while Sheffield United actually went out against Lincoln, I believe, on penalties. But yeah, it's been a really bad start for both teams this season, and to be honest, both teams are looking like two of the favourites to possibly get relegated. So going into it, it's not much. Well, there is much to talk about, and it's the new signing, and of course there is transfer deadline day tomorrow. So a lot could change, especially with the things like Iwobi possibly moving on to Fulham and things of that nature. So it's hard to really get a grasp of where things are going to be tomorrow. But going into things, the first thing we've got to really talk about is the new striker at Everton, being Beto. Came on and played 45 minutes of football yesterday, got himself a goal, and looked really impactful. And against the Sheffield United team that isn't the strongest defensively if you look at the lineup anyway and everything involved in it. You look at this and go, this is a real good chance for the striker to really make his debut and make an impact, especially since it looks unlikely that Calvert-Lewin will be in the side. And it would surprise me if he is the one starting over Beto, considering the club has just spent 30 million euros on him. But if you look at these past few games against Sheffield United anyway, we've actually seemed to have their number away. It seems to be, when it comes to Goodison Park, Sheffield United actually take the points. But when it comes to Bramall Lane, we get the points. The past two games at Bramall Lane being 1-0 wins for Everton, and something Everton really need is to get the points off the board here, at least, because, it's a really bad start to the season, and especially the way we struggled against Doncaster in that first half. It's damning signs if we can't pick up points against Sheffield United, really, even if it is at their ground. But, if you look into what we're going in here, this is what the injuries are meant to be going into that game. Noel McNeil, Calvert-Lewin, Dele Alli, Andre Gomez, Iwobi, Harrison, Coleman, missing out a lot of names, and obviously with Iwobi being injured, but there's still a chance that he's not involved, obviously, because of the whole chance that he could be moving to Fulham and could be at a new club, and there could be new signings, especially if we're getting 20 mil for Iwobi and 12 mil for Gray. It could be a lot of changes going into tomorrow, but it's something desperately needed. And if you look at the way we played against Doncaster, the in the second half, we showed some real positive signs and some positive link-up play, but that was after 15 minutes of being comfortably the second best side in the game against the team bottom of League Two. So it's one of those things where when you look at it, there needs to be a real shift in character in the team. There needs to be a real shift in system probably in the team going into this game, or else it's just hard to see where the goals are coming from. Even with a new striker who looks like he knows what he's doing, those chances have got to be created for him to score in the first place. But again, you look at it here, the insights here, and both teams are not very good. Sheffield United have lost their last 5 matches. We've only scored 3 goals in our last 5, and when Neil Maupay is the guy we're relying on for the most shots on target in a game, then it's not really a good sign considering how Maupay played against Fulham, really. But you look at the table now, Sheffield United 17th or West at rock bottom of the table with a -6 goal difference, mainly because of that loss to Aston Villa, which doesn't really help going into it. But again, it's if you want to look at the game in a whole, really, you look at it and say this is a game where Everton need to take control. They need to win the midfield battles, and I think one place you've got to look at for a real improvement straight away is fullback. I think if you look at the one damning area in the past 3 games, you look at our fullbacks and say, well, they've been absolutely dreadful. Ashley Young was okay against Fulham, and then Nathan Patterson has been absolutely awful every game he's played this season. Even against Doncaster, it's just one of those where you look at it and go, there's no real upside in the fullbacks if they can't really get forward, which is why I am so surprised to not see any rumours in us potentially signing a fullback tomorrow. Or looking at it, we've got Danjuma got off the page for us yesterday as well, which could be the boost in confidence that he needs. I do see it being Danjuma and Beto together in the team tomorrow, but I think it's one of those where you look at it and go, again, it's about winning the midfield battle as well. We've got a comfortably better midfield than Sheffield United, and I think it's about winning that midfield battle and trying to keep a hold of the ball and create chances, something that we've really struggled to do. We let Fulham hold a lot of the ball. We gave Doncaster way too much of the ball. We're showing way too much respect to these teams and just letting them have 50, 60, even 70 in some cases percent possession against us, and then we're just hoping to catch them on a break with a counter-attack, which it's a bit easier now with a striker who can run in behind, but especially look at those first 3 games. Calvert-Lewin was injured straight away, and then we were relying on Neil Maupay to get us that direct in behind football, and Danjuma's not the most physical player. He's more of a winger, so it's no surprise really that we struggled in that area of the pitch. So having a striker like Beto, I think, does completely change the game plan for Everton, and it should anyway. Sean Dyche likes these big target men strikers who can win the ball out of the air, and against Doncaster, it looked like Beto could really do that. It's hard to really judge him off a one-game sample size, but that one-game sample size is amazing. You know, he came on the pitch and finished top in practically every striker category that you'd like after only playing 45 minutes. But again, it's the team bottom of League Two. You should really be expecting things like this from him. But, you know, again, a win against Sheffield United is huge. It could be the boost in confidence that I ever need, especially since the game after that is a game against Arsenal. But it is also at Bramall Lane, which kind of balances it out. But as I've shown, we've had some success at Bramall Lane recently. You know, the last 2 games we've played there, we've won, even if it was only 1-0 wins. So it's good to look at it and see that there is... It seems like at Bramall Lane, we have Sheffield United number, even if it is their home ground. But if we go into the starting lineup, I think it's going to be... It's an interesting one to talk about, really. I think it's going to be very similar to the game to the game against Wolves, really. I think we're going to see a very similar team to what came out against Wolves. And I think we're going to see something similar to this with Pickford. I think it's going to be the same back four, unless we sign a full-back, really. Again, I think it'll be the same midfield with Iwobi not playing, of course, because I think Iwobi will be at Fulham by the time this game happens. And then I think it'll be maybe more of a 4-4-2 with... I don't know who get dropped, though, or maybe even a 4-3-3, but I'd be very surprised. I think if my preference, to be honest, would be to drop Garner into right back and then play a midfield. The midfield there it is, as it is, but with, of course, Danjuma, probably where Dobbin is, maybe. And then hopefully we may get another winger in or a more creative midfielder. I also wouldn't mind Onana being given more of a free role and being given the role to run forward a little bit more. But yeah, I think you just see a very similar lineup, just probably with Dobbin out and Beto in, with Danjuma going down that left-hand side instead. But yeah, I think... I don't. It's hard to really predict what you think is going to go on in this game because it is a game that both teams really think that they need to win. To be honest with you, both teams look at it and go, "This is desperate for them to win." You know, both teams are on 0 points, desperate to get those first few points, especially considering now that, you know, you look at some of the teams that were favourites to go down, like Wolves and Bournemouth. They've all got their point tallies off the board, and if you're going 4 or 5 games into the season without even picking up a point, then you're in a situation where it's only 5 games into the season, but you really need to start winning games and winning them as soon as possible. So, again, like I said, I think the starting lineup is going to be something along the lines of what it was there with Pickford, Patterson, Tarkowski, Bramford. I think Bramford's earned his way into the team now. He was one of the only players that seemed to impress against Wolves. Ashley Young at left back, then with Gay, Garner, Doucouré, Onana, and then Danjuma on the left and Beto up top. I think that's what it will be. He may spring some surprises and play 2 up front with Danjuma and Beto up top. Maybe Neil Maupay plays up top, and then it's Danjuma and Garner, and then one of the midfield 3 gets dropped. But I'd be very surprised if that happens, to be completely honest with you. And I think it's an interesting game to look at because I think this is a real chance for Everton to make a statement game and to really impress and to show that we are not going to be, you know, the front runners for relegation this season. But the way things are looking right now, it's hard to argue against that, really. So it's one of those where it's hard to really judge because, again, Sheffield United are going to be in the same position as us in front of the home fans. They'll be wanting to get some points off the board. They'll be wanting to impress. So I think it's a situation where both clubs are in a similar area right now of where they both want the same things. And I think deadline day, to be honest, is going to change a lot of things. Sheffield United do actually have Cameron Archer up front now, so they actually have a striker who's got some proficiency in scoring goals, maybe not in the Premier League, but a striker who's shown that he can score goals. Everton have brought Beto in, who looks like a striker who can score goals. So it's going to be an interesting one. If I had to give a prediction going into it, I don't think it's going to be the most exciting game. I'd be very surprised to see more than 2 goals from both teams, to be honest with you. And that's combined. So again, I think Everton are going to nick it 1-0 again. I think this is going to be the 3rd game in a row at Bramall Lane where Everton are able to nick a 1-0 win. Sheffield United are going to look on top at some points and probably cause some real problems with the way we've been playing under Dyche recently. But I do think Everton are going to squeak out the first 3 points of the season. It's not going to be the convincing win that we want, I don't think, but it is going to be a win, and it's going to be finally to get those 3 points off the board and hopefully what we need to get out of the relegation zone. But if you did enjoy that video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to follow the Toffee Blues on Twitter at Everton Newsfeed, and make sure to follow me on Twitter at Callum Brandon 3. And I will see you all for the next video or live stream that I'm on. Goodbye, everyone.